You'll find rupees being charged for bows. As we're already underway, we'll go more into that as we discuss. Uncle, we will miss you. You're leaving forever. See ya. So we have Fantallis, and I don't know what that sprite is. That's a really cool sprite. Furaime is doing the basic retro link today. And how do you like the sprite choices today?
I'm not sure what Fantallis' sprite is either, but retro link in retro mode is always a good choice. It's a really funny sprite to see. You got to keep in mind this is standard mode and hard difficulty, so hard combined with the retro is really going to make a challenge for these players. These guys are really top-notch, though.
We will explain those icons at the top in just a moment. One of the icons is the uncle holding a sword, which means he is guaranteed to have a sword in this seed. So they just picked up that sword right now. You're getting a single rupee from the chest underneath of him, which is not something I think they're happy to see, where we actually charge rupees to fire the bow. So at this time, the runners are making their way through Hyrule Castle. This is forced in this standard mode. Standard mode means that you have to find the princess in her cell. You will have to take her back to the sanctuary. This is how the vanilla Link to the Past game works out. So this is how most people understand the game to work. And as a result, this is basically kind of vanilla. The only thing that's not vanilla is where all the items are located.
I think it's a really wise choice to pick Uncle Assured swords when you're doing hard mode. With only the ability to get up to Tempered Sword and 4 swords in the item pool, having to go without finding one is just really, really brutal. Especially, like you said, having to pay money for bow shots and all the other limitations of the game. It's good to get that first sword out of the way.
Yeah, we already have the bow in the first chest in the basement, so they're going to have a little bit of literacy in their seed today. And they're making their way back to the actually to another chest on this floor before going downstairs to find the princess.
It's nice to get the book early. You know, we might see a runner opt to do that very rare early game pedestal check if they do the northern Lost Woods section. Maybe it'll give them a little bit more incentive to do a cave check while they're up there as well.
So both runners are now heading downstairs as we sync the runners a little bit here. So we are now in even time. And let's see what strats they use on the guards in the basement today. Basic sword strats because they have a sword. Furaime grabs a pot, throws it at the guard, and uses the sword to finish it off. Very efficient. And Fantallis, I didn't see if he grabbed a pot, but he doesn't look like it. He's just using the sword to take him out. Both runners have found their bombs in the chest, so that's going to save them having to farm for bombs. Furaime did pick up a 4-pack somewhere as well. And they're now on their way back upstairs after Fantallis deals with that annoying green guard.
Yeah, Furaime got the 4-bomb drop off the green guards, and it looks like Fantallis killed the same number of green guards but didn't get the drop, so he's probably pretty close in the prize pool. If he's able to kill a little bit more green guards on the way out and get up to 7 bombs, it's a nice cushion. But like you said, getting that one ever important bomb to do the back of escape really is all that you need, and they'll be just able to do go mode escape.
So I'm going to cover very quickly what the icons at the top of the game, top in between the two names, do mean. The image of the crystal and the pendant basically means it's an all dungeon seed. The Princess Zelda refers to the standard mode, which you're seeing with going through the castle right now. The uncle holding the sword, as I noted before, means the sword is guaranteed to be picked up from the uncle, where he lies in the back of escape. And the H means that we are on hard mode. That means that we're going to have, in the case of Retro already has keys in the prize pool. You have to actually buy a lot of keys in Retro mode, in some cases, to get through, depending on where those items are located in the dungeons. In this mode, if I'm reading correctly, I believe there are only 13 keys in the prize pool for this particular seed today, which means the odds are high they're going to have to buy a lot of keys today.
Yeah, there's a lot of dungeons where you can. That'll be interesting to see. Money management is going to be an issue, and there are certain keys, certain doors in dungeons where, there's one small key that's for this dungeon. But what I was saying is, like, dungeons like in Palace of Darkness, for example, if you know your key management, you can know which chests are not going to be needed in the normal run. But with the keys randomized, this becomes a lot more like a key sanity run. And especially with all dungeons, it's probably going to be really close to a full clear.
And it's going to be interesting to see which runner decides to use which keys where and who needs to actually buy keys today. I was actually asking Furaime before the race about his strategy in choosing the seed today, and he notes that the reason behind it is on the strategy involved. For example, he notes that you need, I think he said it was about 700 rupees to make your way through Palace of Darkness, and that's just firing the arrow. That doesn't even count any other usage you might have for him. So he notes the rupee management involved in clearing such a bone necessitated location to be a really big part of the strategy today.
Well, only 6 more rupees in the back of Escape. That's a little bit disappointing. Like I said, we need to get some rupees fairly early on in the game. I can take a look at the list here and see. I don't know if rupees are modified in hard mode. It doesn't appear that they are.
Got a quick map check. I think I saw crystals at Eastern Palace and Tower Hero. I did not notice what Desert Palace was. And we already have some divergence here. Furaime is going to, it looks like, do the Houlihan strat, which I am not surprised with given how scarce the rupees have been so far. Only 47 in his bank account compared to 73 for Fantallis. Fantallis is just heading right up to the normal route to check the tree pull. Just some blue rupees there, so 20 rupees per tree pull, in case there's a real need for some extra arrows, I guess. Fantallis is on his way now to the Lumberjack Ledge to see what is up there today and see if that might be required. But he's checking to take any shot first. This is one of those caves that can, or locations that can turn into a take any room. You'll find heart containers or some potion. One of them actually will also have a very familiar old man with a very familiar sharp pointing object. So that old man's going to be carrying the Master Sword, I believe, for us today.
Yeah, I definitely agree with. First of all, I gotta say I love the original bunny sprite in retro mode being the raft with jumping into the water. That is just the cutest thing. But doing the Houlihan room, I'm sure Fantallis will do that at some point as well. It's just so many rupees, and there haven't really gotten any other good options. Doing it the way Furaime did, that's something you don't typically see this early on in the game. Using, jumping into the water to reset the camera. It's one of the less common ways to access Houlihan, but both runners can only do that room one time. So, he got it out of the way early, but Fantastic will probably do it as well.
So some normally boring 5 rupee and big 20 locations are going to be very key for making sure you keep the rupee management up today. You're going to see runners probably go after more of those items today than you would see in any other normal kind of seed, because with hard retro, the money is going to be absolutely necessary, not only for firing arrows, but for getting those extra keys they might need as well today. Exactly.
That we saw that 50 rupees was on the race game, and it's normally 50 rupees. You're not going to get out of your way for that, but in this mode, it might be worth the time.
Furaime is checking the sick kid. Meanwhile, gets his bombs from the sick kid. So, wonder why the kid has bombs on him today. So he already checked the back of the tavern and is now on the way to, let's see, take any shop, or just a regular shop. I guess that's still a regular shop. So he's now pulling some bushes. I guess he wants to farm extra bombs if possible, and is now bombing his way into that normal rat cave. That does not change. That still is a place where you can pick up pots and kill some rats.
He may have thought that was one of the take any shops, because he did not pick up any pot.
Ooh, we have a nice chicken clip from Furaime today as the chicken gets pushed into the next room and into the wall. Very nice. And did you see the items that were in Blind's hut?
No, I missed it.
Okay, we should see those momentarily on Furaime's side. Fantallis, meanwhile, is going to most likely drop into the well. The bottle vendor today just carries a piece of heart on him for 100 bucks. And let's get a look at the bottom of the well now. 5 rupees in the first chest. Bomb is blown into the back of the well. Furaime is following behind to get these same items. Hammer is located in the back of the well today. We also have the blue mail. We have one of the keys. And we have a flute. Oh, that's a nice well today.
It's very nice. I mean, hammer is obviously a great weapon this early in the game, but the flute, being in that location to immediately activate it, it's great positioning. And we should note that that is the only mail upgrade that they're going to see this game, being a hard mode seed. There's no red mail.
And we're going to now get to see and hear National Anthem of Hyrule.
Got some nice duck activation sync going on.
The sync is real as both runners free the duck. And I'm not going to make any weird saying related to that today, but go ahead and put them in chat if you have them. As both runners now diverge again, Furaime still has to check the back of Blind's hut, which we missed earlier, I think, in terms of the items. Fantallis is getting his bombs from the sick kid. And let's just see what we missed in Blind's hut today. One of the keys is in there. We have a piece of heart. 5 rupees. Another 5 rupees. So there's one arrow between those two chests. And at the very back... Sorry?
You get more rupees under pots than we do from the chests in this particular blind set. Very disappointing. Just 20 rupees in that last chest.
But so that back room was 50 rupees. That's basically about a silver arrow right there once we have those.
Well, with Fantallis also checking this hut, it really leads me to believe that this could be one of the random ones. Actually, no, he needs the bombs, so I guess this is not one of the random ones. Furaime, though, he's checking the magic one. That is one of the take any huts, I believe.
It looks like the fortune teller is home today, so no change there today. So Furaime does find one of the Take Any caves. Fantallis already found this one in the Lost Woods and got his heart from there as well. Fantallis is checking out the rest of Kakariko Village, and he's going to get down to the library where he's going to see what Furaime's already found. I think it's just 5 rupees up there, if I remember correctly. 5 rupees in the bottom of the well there, or in the bottom of the Lost Woods hole there.
Yes, and thank you to chat for clarifying that the bomb hut, it can be at a Take Any hut or the bomb refill, so that's good to know.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Furaime will get his heart from the Lost Woods. I'm surprised that... Oh, Furaime is going to give us our pedestal check, it looks like. I don't think Fantallis did this. If he did, I missed it. He decides he doesn't need the money from the race game, so he does skip out on that today. Get your pedestal hype in chat, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get an early look at 13 minutes and 30 seconds. And the pedestal today has money.
Well, with an all dungeons seed, they're going to have to clear those 3 pendant dungeons. If that was, even a 300 rupee, that might have been worth picking up early on. But just couch cash, we're not going to see them ever pick that up.
No, by the time they're able to pick that up, I think they're going to be pretty comfortable with their situation, especially given couch cash is a very small amount of cash. It's not like a rupee hoard like I saw in a seed the other day where it actually tells you, yeah.
Yeah, I believe couch cash is a 5 or a 10. Fantallis did the save and quit. Did not use his flute to get down to 5 here to check the dam. So it gives Furaime the chance to pick up a few seconds here. So they're pretty much in sync, only a screen difference.
Yeah, they've done all their divergent paths, and they're now re-merging around the dam. And we're going into the, well, Fantallis is stopping to pick up some magic from the crab first. He fills up his magic meter. Fantallis leads him into Mini Moldorum Cave. We have 4 Mini Moldorums to take out, which is why we call it Mini Moldorum Cave. And once they are taken out, that door at the back will open. We have 5 more items back there. Oh, he missed on the bomb shot there. And he gets on the second try. And in the back of Mini Motorhome Cave today, we have 20 rupees, some bombs, another big 20, the shovel, and there is the Master Sword. So when we do find that old man now, he will have our Tempered Sword, unless we find the other sword upgrade before we get to him.
Fantallis deciding not to continue on. Never mind. I was going to say not to continue on to Ice Rod Cave, but the flute does save you a little bit of time, remembering that he has it now. And Furaime doing the same thing. No flippers, so may or may not see a fake flipper hobo check after this from one or both of the runners.
And Fantallis stops and checks the Take Any Cave before going into Ice Rod Cave. Looks like nothing in there today, so we're going to scratch that off our list. And he now walks into Ice Rod Cave. Furaime goes straight into Ice Rod Cave, doesn't even check to take any possible location. Just a piece of heart in that chest today.
Other than the big spot, Fantallis run most of his forward locations. He can check up here in that mountain. There's only at the moment, but I do like the skill and the item, but the same containing point, and it's pretty easy to do with the sword, especially for these caliber runners.
And the shovel spot holding 5 rupees in there today, so that'll add to the rupee management for the steed. Only 374 rupees so far. We don't even have enough for Zora yet. And we're still looking at having to buy keys and fire arrows later.
Yeah, the old man also having a 5 rupee. It is a sign of how important rupee management is that you see Furaime actually picking out the fiver from the dig spot.
So Fantallis is heading up to Death Mountain right now. And let's see I didn't catch what was on top of Sanctuary Rock, but we're going to go inside here. And why do I call it Sanctuary Rock? Spectacle Rock is what I should say. We do have a hint in here. As Furaime gets to the right side of Desert Palace, does want to check those 2 items. We have a piece of heart inside Spectacle Rock. The hint this game. I think we got that already. Flipper is in the back, in the locked area of Desert Palace, meanwhile.
So, Kakariko Village Elder, I assume that's the bottle vendor?
Kakariko Village Elder, it might be. I'm not sure offhand, actually.
Or is it referred to Sasharala? Because he's really from Kakariko, isn't he? I gotta get my Zelda lore straight.
Perhaps chat will clarify that for us, just so we don't give some misinformation here. We have a compass on the torch. The hint here, a unique item requires the hook shot. That could mean anywhere on Death Mountain. It could mean Swamp Palace. So we're going to see what that plays into later.
Green Pendant is the Village Elder item. Yeah, Moon Pearl and the Flipper. So that's both of the items out of Desert Palace. We're gonna have to complete this dungeon eventually, but Furaime doesn't have to do it right now. He can go back here later on.
Now, Fantallis might make the play on Eastern Palace. No, he's just playing the flute. I guess he's gonna go back there when he has the bow, so he doesn't have to waste a second trip going through there if he can. Furaime is done inside the main part of Desert Palace. Doesn't have a fire source though, so he can't finish it. Big 20 from the ledge. He does not attack the bat, which is now going to circle him. And this bat will not damage you unless you happen to run into it, but it can be really annoying just having it fluttering around you.
So picking up the flippers there is going to give Furaime access to the hobo and the 2 waterfall chests, as well as the item on Zora's ledge. Almost has enough money to actually do Zora. I don't know in this mode though, with if you get to the point where you only have 500 rupees, I don't know whether you'd really commit to spending them all in one place. He's been very aggressive with his rupee pickups, even picking up the 20 on the desert ledge.
And he does know rupee management in hard mode. Retro mode is crucial, so he is probably going to pick up whatever money he does see today. And it's interesting that Fantallis skipped on the race game, the 50 in the race game, because that money might be needed later when he runs out of arrows.
Yeah, Fantallis did stop and pick up on his way over to desert. One of the best overworld farming spots is under the big rock there, by Gary. Great repeatable farming spot. But he's heading in the desert as well, so he'll be picking up his flippers and Moon Pearl. They don't have Dark World access yet. They need the lamp in order to do Aga, or the mitts in order to get other Dark World access. So we're still looking for some items here.
So Fantallis going to the big chest. That's where the Moon Pearl is located. There it is. And I don't think he's actually checked the door lock side yet. I wonder if he's going to try to save the keys or if he's going to go back there. We're going to find out in just a moment what he decides to do. Looks like he is heading back in that direction, so I guess he does want to check that area out. We'll probably save and quit from there and move on to another location. Furaime, meanwhile, is checking the inside of Spectral Rock. He's going to get his clue from there about the village elder. Ooh, Fantallis doesn't pick up that full magic jar there, so still has about a third of his magic. No items that can really use it yet, but that can be useful to have later.
So with I don't think there's really too many other places Furaime can go at the moment. The Sashirala's hut and maybe a dip into Eastern, really looks to be, if not the only option, at least probably a good option as far as item density is concerned. They do have the option to do all the Zora's Domain checks as well. Those are quite a few spots, but I don't see Furaime heading up there until he gets a little bit more money.
And they do have the flippers, so yes, the waterfall cave checks are within logic. They're not in any way a sequence break right now for that reason alone. As we have a power glove in the back of Sahasrara's closet, and a little bit of money to spending money to use as well. So yeah, that's 2 locations in Waterfall Cave. That's Zora himself, who he has just barely enough money for at 534 rupees, and the intel on what is on the Zora ledge. We can also find out what's on Lake Helia Island later on for Dark World access if needed as well. So that's 5 locations we could check right now, as well as the hobo. There is our sword cave, by the way. Where was that located? Let's find out.
That is in the Light World version of Hype Cave.
Yes, it was. So now we know where our sword take any is, and Fantallis is now toting his tempered sword.
So this is really nice. We have our Dark World access now. Furaime's giving us our first Hype Cave check. One of the best places.
Fantallis right behind.
Right behind. I like Furaime doing the pull prize there on the statue. We saw the tree pull prize earlier from Fantallis, but just knowing where all those locations are can be really useful if it's a good prize item like money.
So Hype Cave has a key, a cape, a sword, 5 rupees, and a cane of Samaria. T-Roo, rate this Hype Cave.
Well, we actually have to give very different numbers of hype. For Furaime, that's definitely a lot of hype, but Fantallis, there's no 4th sword in the hard difficulty, so maybe an 8 for Furaime, but just a 5 for Fantallis.
Yeah, I agree with that. Because Furaime did get all 3 sword upgrades already, we can confirm now where all 3 sword upgrades are. Well, one of which was on the Uncle. We knew that anyway, so really 2 sword upgrades. And the 4th one, which is in the light world version of Hype Cave, he's not going to be worrying about that. Some cash is above the pose, apparently. So he's not going to be worrying about the light world version of Hype Cave at this point, because all he's going to find there is some money to replace the sword.
Well, both players having tempered, like I said, that is as high as they can get in the hard difficulty. So, I mean, they are absolutely, they're set for swords. And, tempered this early is just great to have regardless.
Yeah, it's not very often to see that you can get tempered this early, so it's very nice when you haven't even done any, except for going in a desert palace without our fire sources. I'll hear it up that, we got a Dark World map check. I saw pendants on, can't even say it, Swamp Palace and Ice Palace, and it looks like that was a quick one that time. I think a 5-6 crystal was located down in Misery Mire.
Yeah, Mire was a 5-6, and Skull Woods was the green pendant.
Ooh.
Yeah, so fantallis opting to spend a little bit of extra time here in the digging game, trying to dig up some rupees. Got the unique item, which was a 5 rupee prize, but kept on digging. With the ability to dig up those big 20s, this is a very good choice to dig as long as you can, all 30 seconds.
There it was on dig number 19, it looks like. So when he picks that up, it will still count the timer, so I might try and avoid that for a moment. Yeah, he does try. He got it anyway. But it looked like he was trying to avoid picking that up because that one would not disappear unlike the others.
So without the Titan's Mitts, players are not able to continue north into the Village of Outcasts. Both players doing the save and quit. And most likely taking the Kakariko portal. We'll probably see maybe a front of Skull Woods check. Might wait until we get the Fire Rod to do the entire dungeon, since we know we're going to have to clear it. The pendant really doesn't matter too much, especially because we know the pendant prize doesn't have any value. I think most likely we'll probably see Village of Outcasts and Thieves Town, since we have everything we need for that.
And as you said, both runners are making the trip over to the Skull Woods area right now. So, yes, without a fire source, just like with Desert Palace, we cannot clear this. But we can nonetheless get in there, and we can see what some of the items are without getting into the back of it. And who knows, maybe our fire access will actually be in here today.
That's definitely possible. The unfortunate thing about Skull Woods is it can be a time-consuming dungeon. There's 3 item locations here in Village of Outcasts. 100 rupees there from the chess game, which was not the actual prize item, that was nice to find.
Yeah, it's a piece of heart that was the prize item.
Yeah, Furaime got 50 rupees, and fantallis got 100 from the random second item there. So that's a nice rupee increase for fantallis, having skipped the 50 on the digging, not the digging game, the race game, brings them a little bit more even.
Big 20 in the back of that house. So Furaime is going to clean out the Village of Outcast locations. fantallis, meanwhile, has found a big key and a small key. Again, the small keys are not dungeon specific in retro mode. The small keys can be used anywhere. So it's a matter of where he plans to use those keys. Same with Furaime, as he gets 5 out of the C-shaped house.
This dungeon is another. This dungeon is a good example of where you can potentially save small keys. If you know that the big chest has the map or the compass, then you can avoid opening that door. Even if you know that there, normally you would, if you're playing in a regular mode, you can deduce that a small key could be in that chest. But in this mode, with small keys being randomized, you can actually have an item in there. So tricky.
At least the good news is if you open that door and you get a key, at least you come out even in the end. It's just a little bit of a time sink to get that extra key, obviously. fantallis has made his way through the forefront chest, is now going deep into Thieves Town. Thieves Town to make his way through what we commonly refer to, I think, as the Hellway, I believe is what we call it. Very difficult jelly-like enemies that we have to deal with in this hallway. That last chest in the front of the East Town was the second key, by the way.
Yeah, they're in a pretty good situation with, what is it, nine hearts and the blue mail. That's actually fairly healthy for a hard difficulty seed.
I missed part of that hint. I saw something requires the Cane of Samari. Did you catch that?
No. Maybe we'll see it on Fantallis' side.
We should see it on Furaime's side in just a moment because he's heading towards that same area right now. Fantallis, meanwhile, is upstairs, having already checked that hint, and he's going to see what is in the Sunshine Room, as I like to call it. Just a map up there today.
So it's just...
Sorry?
I'm saying just a unique item requires the cane. I don't know what really that points to. That's just saying that there's an item in Turtle Rock or Misery Mire that's blocked behind Cane, or something on the right side of Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, those are the three most likely locations that would be. So some kind of a unique item. If it were to be in Ganon's Tower, it might be just something like a mushroom or something like that, even a boomerang. But if it's something in Turtle Rock, who knows? It could be an important item like, I don't know, the lamp, or even the ice rod to defeat Trinex with.
Not a particularly useful hint. You're going to go to all of those locations anyway, most likely. But it's always good to know. If Fantallis going to go open up the big chest here, use one of his 4 keys, and we'll get to find out what's hiding here.
Oh, that's breaking even. So he spends a key and he gets a key as he leaves the area with 4 keys. So nothing gained, nothing lost there, I guess you could say. He is now heading upstairs to start his blind fight.
Yeah, that's very much like a standard Thieves Town run, where the key will be locked behind the locked door.
And the pun of the day as Fantallis starts his blind fight: Retrievers love fetch quests. I'll give a 5 out of 10 for that one, as he's now on phase 3 of the blind fight, and 1 hit away, I believe. There he goes. We're going to see what blind drops right now as he explodes on Fantallis' side and gives away 5 rupees. His life savings, I guess. And that's the first crystal of the game for either runner today for Fantallis.
First crystal, 32 minutes in. Not too bad at all. Furaime heading into blind as well. Being all dungeons, it doesn't really matter if they do the crystals or the pendants first, unless there's key items in Ganon's Tower or on the pedestal. We know there's nothing on the pedestal, but there could still be a item in Ganon's Tower that they need in order to pick up the pendant dungeons.
And Furaime gets his 5 rupees and crystal from blind. Fantallis is now checking the Village of Outcast locations that Furaime has already checked. Also checking that shop there. Turns out it is just a regular shop, not a take any.
A very similar routing and execution from both players, top notch. I think maybe Furaime has been a little bit more Ruby conscious than Fantallis, but otherwise it's been very, very similar.
And I think Fantallis is going to the bumper ledge area. I do not question this at all. He has the cape. He can pick it up right now. So let's get out of the way, make sure there's nothing up there. It is possible there could be at this point. Furaime, I think he might have gone up there already, and I didn't see what it was. Looks like it's just a full heart today. Neither runner is picking that up. Furaime is heading into the Skull Woods area, and I think Fantallis will not be far behind there.
Yeah, it was a full heart container, and there are 5 fewer full heart containers in hard mode difficulty compared to normal. So a lot of players would probably value picking that up, but like I said, they're at the point where even in hard mode they have enough health. Here's one of the shops, and he's picking up his arrows and 1 extra key.
And those are some very good pickups at this point. The keys, again, we know there were a lot fewer keys in the item pool in hard difficulty. I believe in normal difficulty, I saw there's something like 28 keys in there in that item pool. So no question, picking up that extra key will come in helpful. And the arrows, of course, if he does happen to find the bow, he will be able to fire those whenever he has that.
Yeah, that's a really good reason. There we go, another small key. It's a very good reason why you would want to, not spend all your money if you had exactly 500, for example, at a Zord check. Just because you want to save a little bit extra for those rupees. I'm sorry, for those arrows or the keys. It looks, you look at the 6 keys that Fantallis has, and you're like, okay, 6 keys, that's a very healthy margin, but being all dungeons, what we're probably going to see is a lot of item collection, a lot of overworld checks, and then a dungeon rush where we do a lot of keys very, very quickly.
There's something else I know that the runners may choose to as well. If they end up being in a case where they are key starved, they could very well also choose to do something where they check what's in the Palace of Darkness. If they find nothing useful in Palace of Darkness behind those locked doors, they can basically soft reset and not check those chests again. That way they can get all their keys back if they end up spending 3 or 4 keys and get nothing in return for it. So that could be another strategy that the runners could potentially employ if they do end up starved for resources.
That's a good point, and that is a strategy that you do see frequently in Key Sanity. You'll also see it in in a lot of modes with people turning in the mushroom and then recouping it for the fake powder. It's a good strategy, and Furaime now has his arrows. Neither runner has the bow yet, but getting the arrows and getting an extra key there. One thing to keep in mind is just looking through ruby counts to remember that Furaime did Hula Hand early on, and Fantallis still has that ruby reserve to tap if he runs low.
An interesting note here that Fantallis still, with all the shopping he's done, only has 145 rupees. He finds out there's 20 rupees on the desert ledge, which he does not obviously make the trip around to pick up because he can't go to Zora anyway. He doesn't have the money. And B, if you were going to get it, you might as well do it when you're on the way to Zora anyway. So at least we know 20 rupees are on that ledge. He probably will not pick those up, however.
Yes, he does have enough money to get into Palace of Darkness. Like you were saying earlier, doesn't have enough money, if he had the bow to full clear the dungeon, given all the hours that it requires, but can get in here and can at least check the first chest. Actually, never mind. I was thinking standard mode, but with keys, he can check a lot of locations in here.
I could see him actually doing a death warp in here and potentially doing that so he can save the game, basically, and then doing that trick with the keys like I was suggesting. It'd be very interesting to see if that were to come into play today.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Cyclone. That makes a lot of sense. Palace of Darkness, everyone says, Palace of Keys, and with the way retro mode works, that's something that didn't immediately occur to me, but it's a very good tactic.
And the first chest in here is just 5 rupees. So let's see how he decides to play this. There are some chests that can be checked without wasting keys, but if you use your keys here, you may not get any back. So let's see what he decides to do. As Furaime does check Zora for us, he gets just a bit of a bad business deal today.
Well, a net loss of 200 rupees. It's unfortunate, but he did not do a save for a while, so it's not something he can reset from. The Fantallis, I think he can do he can do the full right side. Does he have a potion that he can potion glitch with?
I don't know if I've seen either runner pick up a potion at this point, so we'll see when he gets over, if he decides to head over there and try that. He did not do a soft reset, so it looks like he is just going to go ahead and spend the keys and not play around with this. There was only some bombs in the top of that one stairway behind that one locked door. Let's see what we find in some other chests here.
Yeah, Furaime has one fewer key coming into this dungeon, I believe. I think fantallis picked up 2 small keys from shops. I only saw Furaime get 1. These chests have been a bust and pod, just rupees and bombs so far.
And I think fantallis is going to probably most likely do the hammer yump, as we like to call it. This is a pixel perfect strategy, which he's actually not doing right now. Might come back and do it later, where you would actually be able to plant the bomb in a specific location, plant you in a specific location, while the tile bridge, as we find the mirror in Palace of Darkness. And using that strategy with this pixel perfect setup, you can actually jump across the gap and hop onto that ledge where the big key chest is located. So we'll see if he comes back and does that, or if Furaime also does that at some point.
Yeah, the pod hammer jump, really important to practice. It's difficult to do. Like you said, there's both an x-axis and a y-axis that needs to be set up precisely. But both in retro mode and in key sanity mode, it does let you save a small key, which is incredibly important. That mirror is a really nice find. If he does the hammer jump and then does the 2 chests in the dark maze, he'll now be able to mirror out instead of having to take the death warp.
And the darkened area, he did find... Oh, he doesn't do the hammer jump. He actually spends the key here. Maybe he's not familiar with that strategy. So that may cost him later in terms of having to buy another key. Or maybe that's the key one of the keys he purchased already. That he planned for that. But either way, that is another key spent. We did find the base in the downstairs area a full heart and some item we could not identify. So far in this maze, he's found a piece of heart. And we're going to have one more chest he's going to come to. I bet you'd like to have more bombs, says the hint on the Bollock side. That's one of our useless hints, which is why it's in green. You don't, it's not a hint you have to take seriously. It's just something that some senile old man wrote somewhere.
Well, we are getting a potion glitch on Furaime's side, so we're going to get a chance to see...
We found the hook shot, by the way.
Wow. Okay, that's a good find.
Go ahead with what you're saying, sorry.
I was going to say, we saw the potion glitch, which is a maneuver that the runner can use to lock the camera in place to navigate those mimics off screen, and we get to see what items are over here. The big key will let Furaime check the big chest, and like you were saying earlier, if we see the hammer jump on his side, he'll save one more key. The hook shot was in the dark maze, I presume.
I think it was. Oh, that bounced from Furaime. Yeah, I think it was the second chest in the dark maze, or maybe it was even the item in the first area. I did not catch it, and hopefully we can get a better look on Furaime's side exactly where that was located.
Hookshot is a nice item to find. In hard mode, you can't get the stun prize using the boomerang, but you can still get it using the hookshot. So it'd be nice. It'd be good to find out what that stun prize is. If it's something like 20 rupees, that's going to make things much easier, because they'll be able to pick up rupees as they progress through the game just by killing enemies.
Yes, that would be a great stun prize in retro mode, because obviously you need the money for everything. So the more enemies you can stun, the more arrows you can fire, the more keys you can buy, respectively, as Furaime gets his mirror from the chest there. I didn't catch exactly what the hint says, but on fantallis' side, but it is a joke hint, so another hint we don't have to take seriously.
The gnome asks you to guess its name. That's what it says.
I'm going to say his name is Fred, and I have a reason for saying that.
Is that a computer science reason?
No, just we know someone named Fred. My little joke refers to one of the developers of the Zelda 1 randomizer, who another series that we have here on Speed Gaming. We won't go into that any further, as Furaime is now, let's see if he does the hammer jump here today. He is, it looks like, going for it. He does not have the hook shot yet, so it's not in the basement area. So I'm going to assume that it's in the first chest he's going to come to on the other side here. Maybe it was in the big chest I didn't see it. Nope, that's 5 rupees. So I think this chest is where the hook shot was found, down here in the bottom right corner.
Yeah, the 5 rupees in the big chest, with the big key being on the right side, but which Fantallis didn't go to. That's a chest that we know he didn't open. So fortunately for Fantallis, is just 5 rupees and no key progression items. And there's the hook shot for Furaime, and he doesn't get to save a key by having the mirror and not needing to exit out this upper door. This will be everything he needs in this dungeon.
And you can see that hook shot on his menu now. So there's your confirmation, as he didn't have that going into this room. So Fantallis is making the Death Mountain play. He still does not have the Titan's Mitt, so he can't. Well, he's going to try, but he's going to be disappointed. You can't lift that without the Titan's Mitt. Sorry, sir. So he's going to do what he can, going through Paradox Cave, I believe, at this point. And that will give us a few items at least today. Or is this is actually Super Bunny Cave, I think he's doing first. No, it is Paradox Cave.
Yeah, there's 7 items here in Paradox Cave, an 8th in Spiral Cave. He can see what the floating island item is. Can't get that until he gets the Titan's Mitts and has Dark World access. But he does have the hammer, so he can make his way over to Tower of Hera and full clear that dungeon. Actually, sorry, no lamp, so maybe full clear it. There's a lot of things, a lot of value up here, though.
Yeah, that baseline would require the lantern or the fire rod, so we'll find out if he does go to Tower of Hera, just whether it's worth the trip today. He does find a shield in Paradox Cave and another key back there. I didn't catch what all the other items were, but I think Furaime will probably go up there soon. We'll get another chance to see those.
Yeah, shield was the only item, and just some small denomination rupees.
Unsavory.
Furaime is taking the same routing that Fantallis did, checking Eastern. Not going to be able to clear this dungeon because we don't find a bow in here, but just like I said, it's right there with Pod. It makes a lot of sense to do this check from both of the runners. Fantallis skipping Spiral Cave for now, heading into Hookshot Cave. He'll be able to do the Ether Tablet, and coming out of the tower here, he could do Spike Cave or go back to do Spiral Cave, which is always a difficult decision to make. You feel like you're orphaning one of those locations.
So Fantallis checks the Ether Tablet, prays to the gods, and they strike down lightning from above and send 100 rupees as thanks for his prayers. He is now entering Tower of Hera, as we suspected, and is going to grab the... Well, he may not grab... No, he's not grabbing the 20 rupees there. So he's going to go upstairs. He can move to the second location, which is a chest. We're going to have another hint back here. What does it say? Some caches in Gan's Tower. Thanks, game. I guess that'll help us with silver arrows.
Yeah, that's 27 chests, and there's some cash in some of them, so that's not a particularly useful tip. It might as well be in green. Fantallis, as not picking up the 20 rupees that we saw, he really hasn't been as aggressive with the rupees as Furaime has. One thing I want to note, though, is I was mentioning that we have the option to do Spike Cave or Spiral Cave. The cape in hard mode uses twice the magic consumption, so with only the hearts that they have and double the magic consumption, I don't know if it's enough to get through Spike Cave.
I don't know if you just saw that hint, but it says something sharp requires a bomb. I believe that's the sword in Hype Cave, which Fantallis, he didn't get to see that was a sword, so I think he now has a good idea that a sword upgrade would have required a bomb that he didn't get a chance to see because they're already at the Tempered Sword today.
Technically, that could apply to the... I mean, the hints aren't retro mode specific, but just from our own observations, he technically did get his third sword behind a bombable wall.
I'm trying to think which bombable wall that was again.
It was the Light World version.
Oh wait, the Light World version has it too. Okay, yeah, they're both bombable. That's true.
That's where the old man was. I mean, chat pointed out that the hints aren't mode specific, so it wouldn't be referring to a retro mode location. But you know, it was the Light World of Hype Cave, so it's pretty close.
Yeah, same cave, opposite worlds, two swords. But yeah, as you said, the hint would be referring to something that is unique, that is not unique, but is the same to all modes. So obviously that Take Any Sword Cave is not going to be related to it. The fantallis does find his crystal from the top of Tower Hera, defeating Moldorum. I have not been checking the item count on that, but he's leaving, so he can't do the basement yet anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter what's down there now anyway.
Yeah, interesting divergence. Furaime, you know, finishing Eastern is, you know, going into Swamp, not doing any of the Death Mountain checks, and this is you know, this is our Spike Cave check, so we'll see if he has enough magic to get through here.
As you noted earlier, this is the. I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry. As you know, this is the only location in the hard difficulty where the magic usage would be the normal rate. This also applies to expert and insane modes as well to make this location completable. Otherwise, it would be impossible. So nothing really useful. Just a little bit of money back there today.
And you do need the cape there because the Cane of Burna does not provide invincibility.
We did find the ice rod somewhere. I didn't catch where fantallis picked that up.
I think that was the big chest in Hera, or one of the chests in Hera.
I think it had to be somewhere in Tower of Hera. So at least we know that that's somewhere in Tower of Hera today. And Furaime is making his way through Swamp Palace and is going not to the left. Well, I guess he is going to use a key here to go, it looks like, to the left side. He is out of keys at this time. So he is not able to go through any other locked doors until he finds some more keys at this point. We'll see how that affects his routing later.
Well, there's still the keys in their pot locations.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So you had the key there. Fortunately, you remembered not to flood it, which would have required him to exit and reset the dungeon. So we'll get the two chests on the left side, and after that, we'll probably just go finish this dungeon. There's no reason not to, and there's no more locked doors after the one that he has the key for. So it should be a full clear from both of our players.
It will also be interesting to see where the key counts come into play later. They both only have one key right now, so they may find themselves needing to buy more keys at a later time.
Ooh, I like that block clip that Furaime did there.
That was very nice.
Don't usually see that. I don't think that actually saved any time. It just looked cool. It was a swag move.
Gotta do a little swag from time to time. So we have two chests down here in the bottom. Oh!
Mitts!
That is a very important pickup. That opens a lot. The Titan's Mitt is located in Swamp Palace. On the other end, we have a full heart container. So at least a little extra life. And he is now up to 10 hearts. So that means that that would be the 11th heart for fantallis if he goes to that side today. But we know he has to go over there because Titan's Mitt is over there and it's required today.
Yeah, left side swamp really paying off this particular seed. There's a nice routing bonus for Furaime because he's doing swamp prior to heading up to Death Mountain, so he'll be able to do all of the Dark Death Mountain checks. At the same time he's doing his right side Light World Death Mountain checks. It'll be a little bit quicker than Fantallis' trip, having to head back up there. We'll be able to see what the Turtle Rock Medallion is. That's good. That's good knowledge that Fantallis will have to also backtrack for.
And that was the mushroom in the big chest, so we may drop that off at the witch at some point, as we still have a lot of things missing. All three medallions, the lamp, fire rod, the boots are still missing, the powder is still missing for Magic Bat. Silver arrows are still missing, which of course I should note again, the silver arrows will not work in hard mode except on Ganon. So they will work in the Ganon fight, they won't work anywhere else. So we don't have to worry too much about the rupees for using our silver arrows today. They're just going to get regular arrows over outside of Ganon today. There's the ether as I speak of the medallions missing, so one of them has now shown up.
Getting the mushroom and the mitts in the same dungeon, that basically opens up the the Smith's Chain quest, and kind of if you have the mushroom to do the fake powder, it's a little bit more of an incentive to go ahead and do that quest series prior to turning the mushroom in.
And that glitch you're talking about with the mushroom is a glitch that is you have to have, I believe, the fire rod to pull that off. It's either the fire rod or the cane smart. You can correct me in a second on that. But you have to empty your magic meter and literally trigger the glitch with an empty magic meter while using the mushroom on the platform.
Yeah, it's a glitch with the cane of Samaria. You activate the cane and then you switch to either the mushroom or the powder, and the item will work without any magic. So it's useful for getting the magic bat item if you have the mushroom and not the powder. But it's also useful if you have the if you're just out of magic and you need to powder an anti-fairy. You can't get. I don't believe hard mode gives you anti-fairies, but in normal mode, that's a good strategy to be aware of.
Now, did Fantallis... I noticed Fantallis did not go left side. He does not have the Titan's mitts yet. Did he open the big chest? Because I noticed that he doesn't have the mushroom marked.
I'm guessing not.
Maybe the big key was on that side, and that might be why he didn't open. I didn't remember exactly where the big key was located, so maybe he just couldn't open that chest. So Furaime, meanwhile, does dispose of the other tablet, prays to the gods once again. This incinerates the bat and gets 5 rupees for his efforts.
So I just double-checked. In hard mode, if you powder an anti-fairy, it gives you a heart and not a fairy.
That is correct.
As opposed to nothing. So that's still could be useful, but just a lot less useful.
Yeah, that's something you'll see if you're low on life and you want to make sure you can keep going a little further to finish what you need to do. So it can be useful in that kind of circumstance. But as you said, it's not a full fairy, so it will not be a life heal that you would see in normal mode. And Fantallis left Swamp without the Titan's mitts. That could be bad.
Yeah, that is a significant. That's Titan's mitts are required for so many locations in this game. Furaime is, he's doing the Cave 45 check, the Cave South of Grove, which is a mirror locked location. He wasn't able to get it earlier. Fantallis following in his path. But this is as far as Fantallis is going to be able to go. Furaime can continue on and do the Smith's Chain, which it looks like that's what he's doing. Fantallis, he's going to be stopped in his tracks.
Yeah, this is going to be a major blow to Fantallis. Not having the Titan's mitts is a lot of things he's not going to be able to do, and he's going to have to eventually row his way back into Swamp, which is a long walk, not to mention the trouble of having to reflood the dam again. So that's going to be a significant time loss for Fantallis.
You do see players making that that left side Swamp gamble a lot. If they have most of the items they need. But in an all dungeon seed where you're going to have to basically full clear the entire game, it's something that I think is less common to take a gamble on. With a key being under that pot, it's not even a key cost. It's just a time cost. So that's an unfortunate skip.
Both runners. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Both runners, meanwhile, found rupees in Hammer Peg Cave and in Cave 45, respectively. And we're seeing the blacksmith, I think you were going to say right now.
Yeah, I was just saying we're seeing that Furaime do that Smith's Chain stuff, and he's looks like he's prepping to do the fake powder, as well as Fantallis also prepping to do it. So we'll get to see them both try it.
He's getting the purple chest before he dives in there today. And he's got the King of Samaria. We're going to see fake powder. And Fantallis just did it as well. What do we have at the Magic Bat? Magic Bat today contains 5 rupees. So I was going to make a comment that this is technically considered a sequence break, but since there was nothing important there, we're not going to worry about that for now.
Yeah, that's actually a very, very easy trick to pull off. You just drain your magic, hit the button on the King of Samaria, and then quickly switch your menu over to the mushroom or the powder. It's very, very easy to do at any skill level.
Fantallis is going to give us our look at what the witch item is today. We're still missing a lot of items here, so wouldn't be surprised me to see the lantern or something like that in here today. Or the bombos. I'm close enough, I guess.
Well, that's not something that Fantallis is going to be able to take advantage of, because he can't get to Ice Palace, Misery Mire, or Turtle Rock without those Titans mitts.
Yeah, and Furaime is going to get his bombos in just a moment. He will be able to take advantage of it, the opportunity to check those locations. Fantallis is going to be scratching his head for a little bit longer, unfortunately.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see, with bombos and ether in hand, and the mitts and the flute, for Furaime to, go give us our first look at the mire area.
And I thought he might be doing that for just a second, which is why I was watching, but he is actually going to Death Mountain, and let's see what he decides to do here. I'm trying to think what he hasn't done. I don't think he's done Hookshot Cave yet, but we need the... He can lift and get in there now, so I think that might be what he's thinking about. That or checking Turtle Rock.
Well, that actually makes a lot more sense. So this is Furaime's first trip up the Death Mountain on the right side. So he has the 8 Light World items to do, the 6 items in the Dark Death Mountain, Tower of Hera. There's so much more to do. If he did go in the mire, he could be, fire source locked, which you don't want to dip into that dungeon and get fire source locked. So this is a much better play that I simply completely forgotten about.
And the bug catching net, the swag net, as the chat likes to call it usually, was found in Skull Woods, in that chest where the mummies were located, that one room, and the Gibdos, as they're normally referred to. He is making his way around as Furaime stops and buys a couple keys. Not a bad investment given that he had no keys left, so wants to make sure he has a few options for opening doors in case he doesn't find any more. Fantallis is working his way around to another entrance to Skull Woods, and this is one of those rooms that I'm not entirely a fan of, because you have to deal with a couple mummies and a hand trying to grab you as you pull a block just to open one chest, but he can use the Samari in this case. Cuts off a lot of the thinking required for that room. The chest back here has a big key, which isn't very useful in this particular dungeon.
Yeah, he's in a tough situation. Not having those Titans mitts, it leads him to these time-intensive locations like Skull Woods. He can't even complete the Skull Woods dungeon without the fire rod. So it's just those chests in the front and the big key chest that he's going to be able to get to. Fortunately for him, it's not going to be too long before he's forced to go back into Swamp to get those mitts, simply because so many locations are locked out at this point.
Yeah, at some point he's going to have to go back and realize he left something back there. It'll be even more interesting if a hint actually comes up for that today as well. I don't know if we've seen a hint for that yet. But I don't think Fantallis will see any such hint if it exists until later in the game, and by then he'll already have the item. 20 rupees in the big chest.
And Furaime, with having postponed his Death Mountain check until after having the the mitts, he's just able to do all of these checks combined. Got all the garbage out of Paradox Cave. This is the first time we've seen any of the Dark Death Mountain items. Nice hookshot clip through those blocks, climbing up here. This will be the 2 items in Super Bunny Cave, and then he'll immediately be able to check 4 more items in Hookshot Cave. These are all new locations that we haven't seen. There's 70 rupees in Super Bunny, and getting a full magic refill there under that pot. That's good game knowledge to have as well.
We would normally say that those 70 rupees are garbage, but Furaime literally bought I think 4 or 5 keys there. I think he picked up one somewhere in Paradox Cave, if I'm not mistaken. So he actually bought 4 keys and was down under 100 rupees. He couldn't buy any more keys. So for him, that money will be very useful at this point because he already spent all his money on keys.
Yeah, he checks the floating island. Sees that's not something he wants to pick up. Gonna get our first look at the Turtle Rock Medallion, which is Quake, the one thing that he doesn't have. So no Turtle Rock access. Fantallis, and this is unfortunate routing due to the lack of the mitts there. He's checking all of these other overworld locations. Pyramid, probably going to head on to Catfish next.
Yeah, it would be important for him to find something here on the pyramid, but it looks like just a boomerang. I don't think he's... Well, he might grab it for the stun prize check. Nope, he's not going to pick it up. And Furaime does clean out the chest and hookshot cave. I don't think we saw anything too worthwhile in there, unless I missed it.
No, and you can't actually do the stun prize with the boomerang, so that wouldn't matter even if he didn't have the hookshot. But he's doing the stun.
Right.
He's doing the stun with the hookshot, and I just noticed that it is a 20 rupee. So that's the best stun prize you could hope for.
Yeah, what you just mentioned, I didn't even think about that. On hard mode, the boomerang cannot be used for stun. Only the hookshot can be. And I know later in higher difficulties on expert mode, which does show up, I believe, later in this tournament, you actually cannot even use the hookshot for stunning. So the stun prize wouldn't even be relevant in those cases.
Yeah, Furaime did pick up the silver arrows in Hookshot Cave, but like you were saying earlier, he can't use those anywhere outside of the Ganon fight, though. So with having the tempered sword, the silvers during the Ganon fight, it saves a little bit of time, but it's not really a game-changing item at this point. Probably could easily just not pick them up.
And Furaime finding that useful hint and checking it twice that there's some cash in Ganon's tower. Gets his big key, and he's on his way upstairs to see the lovely worm at the top. And I just recalled that was, I think, a 20 rupee in the basement, and we know the ice rod is in here. He is going to get his ice rod here. So at this point, I think it's safe to say that he will have both items in Tower Hera, and the basement chest is basically nothing very useful today.
Yeah, still no lamp or fire rod, though. So we're not going to be able to get down there. Fantallis, just unfortunately, losing 200 rupees, and he's just hasn't been as aggressive with the rupees, so those 200 makes a big difference. Ooh, double fall for Furaime. That's unfortunate. Furaime was attempting to set up a bomb jump there to get the Hera big chest. Without the boots, I believe you only have 2 pixels to set that up, and it's pretty tough to position. It's pretty risky with the consequence of failure being falling 2 floors. So maybe we'll see him do it again. Maybe we'll see him just get it the normal way from falling down from above. You can hookshot across, but then you'd have to fall down anyway. So
Fantallis making his way back in the swamp. I think he's realized that he made a mistake here, as Furaime picks up his ice rod from the big chest. And I actually made a slight mistake here because the key is no longer locked to this dungeon. There's possible there could be another item in here as well, so that could be 3 possible items in Tower Hera today. Going to try to see if we see a 3rd item here. I don't remember where that was.
Yeah, that key logic that was throwing me off earlier when I was trying to say that you could assume there was nothing in the Thieves' Town big chest but the key, and then I got all thrown off by, oh wait, doesn't have to be a key, it could be something else. I think Fantallis has probably gotten every location that he could have. I don't know if we saw Graveyard Ledge. That's one overworld location he might have been able to check, but he's done almost everything else, if not everything.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing Graveyard Ledge, and if we are mistaken on that, chat, please fill us in on that, because I think we might have missed that if he did. But moving through, he now goes over to the left side. He is going to now make that play over there, which Furaime already did, and this is just extra time kill for Fantallis at this time.
So neither player checked it, but cash above pose was apparently a hint that we both missed.
Oh, that's what that refers to. Okay. That makes sense, actually.
It does. I'll admit that when I first read the release notes for version 30 and saw the hint system, I didn't think that there would be too much value in it, but having watched several races, I've seen people skip very, very time-intensive checks, by finding a good hint. And Graveyard Ledge is an example of something that can be an out-of-the-way location. they had the mirror when they were up there, so they could have gotten it, but in some cases that can be a really, really difficult location to route in.
Yeah, the hint system can actually be very, very useful. There was actually one case in a seed, and I won't go too much into the talk about that race, but he has dragging the purple chest along with him, walks into Swamp Palace, finds out the purple chest has a shield in it, just leaves it sitting right at the door of Swamp Palace. So that was a very unique situation where it was a perfectly timed hint. But a lot of the hints are very badly timed in terms of you already know what it is by the time you see it. And in that case, it's just like, thanks, game. But some hints can be very useful and tell you things like what's in Misery Mire, Firelock side, or left side of Swamp Palace, and tell you whether it's worth your time today. We do know now the Ether is on Misery Mire as well, if we didn't already.
I did see a race that had a hint. It said a unique item was in left side swamp, and this seed that would have been a very, very valuable hint for Fantallis. But he does now have his Titan's Mitts. So the question is, does he spend time doing overworld checks like Furaime did, or does he go straight for dungeons and just try to make up some time? It looks like he's just going for the dive in the dungeons, and you see this with a lot of runners. If they miss an item like that, they assume that if the overworld checks were the path to victory, they already lost, so they have to take gambles.
Another nice joke hint in the front of Ice Palace, and he can't go anywhere in Ice Palace, which means he was just checking it for the hint to see if he could get any other intel. Furaime, meanwhile, also is going to be doing this because, again, he can't... Well, Bombos will let him in. Actually, why is Fantallis not using Bombos to go in? That's interesting.
I don't know if he had enough magic for it.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. So he's making the Misery Mire play. He does have Ether. And doesn't have the boots, but I believe he can go in otherwise. Cleaning up Mire Shed first.
So, having Ether and the ability to do Mire, it's still a big gamble without a fire source for the Mire basement. Means that you can't necessarily full clear the dungeon. It can be a gamble that you have to make because the fire source could very well be in that dungeon. But there's a lot of things open to Furaime, so he might not go in there. Fantallis might, just say it's a gamble and I need to take a gamble. So it'd be interesting to see if Mire becomes the diversions.
Fantallis checking checkerboard cave. We know there's a key in here. Furaime already picked it up, so he's gonna likely pick that up. Yeah, he didn't buy the 4 keys that Furaime did, so he is definitely gonna want that key. And he now leaves that as Furaime goes and blows up another hole. We're about to blow up another hole in Ice Palace to open the path to a lower area there.
Ice Palace is interesting because this is one of the dungeons that even the most amateur Z3 speedrunners will learn these Ice Palace bomb jumps as the first things that they learn. But in retro mode and key sanity modes, it's incredibly useful because it saves several small keys in addition to the time. And this really makes a difference in these game modes.
For anyone who missed that last cache in Paradox Cave, again, thanks game, as Fantallis has a cup of tea with the fairy. And Furaime now goes down to basement 3 level to take out the flurry of penguins in this room. Very nicely done.
So Fantallis, no magic to go into Mire. I don't know if he wanted to go into Mire. He's going to buy a potion to get his magic back. This is a costly way to get your magic, but without the boots and the ability to bonk a tree, you don't have too many good options.
Yeah, in retro mode, having to spend money on a bottle of magic like that is just unfortunate to have that happen. So, but he does get a little bit of magic back from the potion, like you said. Refills it immediately with the blue goo, and is going to be ready to use that later if he needs it. He should be able to access either dungeon now, but he's actually making the play to Death Mountain instead. So he's doing the overworld checks, I think, on Dark Death Mountain at this time.
Yeah, it's access to go back into Ice Palace or to Misery Mire, the 2 places that he had to walk past without magic. you know, Dark Death Mountain makes a lot of sense, but Furaime did pick up that fire source, finding the lamp in the right side of ice. So he now has the ability to get the basement item in Hera. Probably not a high value play. Full clear Mire, a very good play at this point, I think. And obviously dark rooms aren't an issue anymore.
Fantallis picks up another key. And one note on the lamp very often is just seen as a way to tie the logic together. A lot of runners in this tournament will be able to do those dark rooms without the lamp. Obviously, it's nicer to have the lamp to do it so you can see what you're doing, but many runners can do those rooms without. It's just sometimes in some seeds, the lamp is really hard to find, and you can sequence break and find things beyond it, and that lamp just helps tie the logic together for many of these runners in this tournament.
Absolutely a good point, and it's not uncommon to see runners finish races without even finding the lamp at all. You know, once you reach a certain skill level. But I'd say more importantly in this particular seed is the fact that it's the first fire source, and they don't have that fire source yet, so it's very valuable. We just saw a hint in Ice that there's a unique item in Hera, and we did get you know, at least one unique item in Hera, so there could be more than one.
That was the ice rod, yes.
Basement. Yeah, there could be more than one though. We still have that basement item.
It's possible. The hint is potentially referring to the ice rod, but it could be referring to the basement item as well. We don't know yet. So we find a compass in the big chest in Ice Palace. That was not worth the effort. We do have Furaime going north and realize that, nope, what's he doing here? He is going to spend the key on the locked door there and head upstairs, or rather downstairs. And I think there's another couple of chests down here, if I'm not mistaken. Or is this just where the Samari block is? I don't think we see this very often.
Yeah, I guess the switches went back.
Yeah, the switches were up, so he had to spend the key to open the path to this area to get to the boss, Cold Stare, who he's going to drop in on right now. Fantallis is making his way around Spiral Cave. So our little boss, Cold Stare, referred to some as Krakow, because, again, looks like a storm cloud with an eye in it, for Kirby fans, that is. It now is freed from its shell, and he's going to try and trap it in the corner so the eyes can't escape. They unfortunately do get out, but they are weak enough that it shouldn't take too much effort, and all three eyes are down for Furaime right now. Not hard at all with the Tempered Sword. He does pick up $300 from the eyes, $100 per eye, not a bad investment, and that's a red pendant there.
Yeah, interesting though that you know, I'll have to ask about his Ice Palace rotting, because you don't normally see that, you know, that key usage. You know, you see Ice Palace bomb jump to save a key. It threw me off a little bit, but Fantallis is hitting into ice, so maybe we'll see you know, a different execution here.
Yeah, it threw me off a little bit too. I'm used to seeing a block down there and pushed onto the switch, so very different to not see that today.
Well, chat makes a good point, and I didn't think about this, but you know, Furaime has missed several other jumps. You know, like we were talking about the Tower of Hera bomb jump setup that cost him 2 floors, and it could be the fact that he's just not used to this sprite. Setup with different sprites, you really do have to practice and get a feel for it. And this Rector sprite is definitely, you know, a little bit different than the normal one.
Very true. Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, very true. You have to get used to the sprite before you get comfortable using that strategy. And yes, you can play the retro mode seed with any sprite. You don't have to use retro link, but when you're playing a retro mode seed, it just seems like a good idea to do it for old time's sake.
Well, with the fire source in hand, finishing off desert makes a lot of sense. So this will be a nice, really quick crystal for Furaime. I'm gonna guess that we see Meyer next. Fantallis, he's making good plays, you know, jumping into these dungeons. He did the Dark Death Mountain stuff, but you know, so far hasn't found himself sidetracked into doing Smith's Chain or some other time-consuming checks. So hopefully he'll be able to catch up some more time.
If I'm not mistaken, I don't think there was anything in the Smith check, and I know that the Hammer Peg Cave, I think, had 20 rupees in it, so I don't recall what was in the purple chest, but I don't think it was anything useful. So even if he does end up not doing the overworld checks, I don't think it's going to cost him too much today.
No value there. We get to see some nice Ice Rod strats on the Lammo fight. Very common to see Fire Rod strats to kill those quickly, but the Ice Rod does the same strategy. Sorry, it's the same damage, a little bit slower, so it's a little bit more difficult to time your shots. But it's always fun to see Ice Rod Lammo. And it looks like he's going back into the mire area, so hopefully this will be our first mire dip.
1 hour, 20 minutes, and 20 seconds into the seed. Looks like he's going to make that mire play, turn on the ether tablet, and up comes the entrance to the Misery Mire from the depths.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but there was no item on the Desert Torch, so we're not actually looking for the boots for anything at the moment. Just the bow and the Fire Rod?
I think it was a dungeon item on the torch. If again, if we are wrong on that, feel free chat to correct us on that. But yeah, I don't believe there was any kind of boots lock situation in Desert Palace at this time today. Okay, looks like I was right. The compass was on the torch.
So this could, I mean, unless there's an item on the Ganon's Tower torch, which is getting less and less likely, because it's just the bow and the Fire Rod, and see, the bow can't be in Ganon's Tower. Fire Rod could be, I suppose, with Schoolwoods being a pendant. That would be the only scenario where we still need the boots, I believe.
Of course, there's possibly the big key could be up there on the torch, and that would be, if the boots are not found by then, it could be a big key guessing game for the boots.
Oh, yes. Thank you to our tracker for pointing out that TR is also a crystal, so it would just be the big key. We're going to have the Fire Rod and the bow before we head up there. Which really makes you wonder, where could they be at this point? Because we've seen quite a few locations.
Well, looking at the crystal tracker, Misery Mire is a 5/6 crystal. Now, it is apparently considered statistically low, but Pyramid Fairy would be in play for Furaime after this. I think he has everything at that point to check it. But aside from that, we already know what's on the pyramid itself. That Furaime has not checked that. A heart container and a unique item in the western wing of... I didn't catch what palace that was, but apparently we know there's a heart container and something in that one location. So Pyramid Fairy is in play. What else is in play?
Western wing of Swamp Palace Cyclone.
Oh, it was Swamp Palace. Okay.
And that's a good tip to know, but not where it was.
That unique item, yeah, that was a nice hint. Thanks, game.
I hope Fantallis checks that. That'll be, oh my god, seriously? I like that, yeah, Zelda Disson points out that the hint itself was mitts locked.
Yeah, that's a case of the game literally just, I don't like to use this word a lot, but literally just trolling you at this point with a useless hint.
So Fantallis heading into his Cold Stare fight. Should also be a pretty fast, get a nice quick kill setup. That's a nice, smooth, very well executed fight.
And the Spike chest room today doesn't get the switch at first, but does now. There is your Quake medallion. So that will open up Turtle Rock and make it available, but cannot be completed because we still need that Fire Rod.
Well, we need the Fire Rod for Skullwoods, and we need the bow to complete Eastern and Pod. So Turtle Rock is as good a play as any at this point.
You said something about a Fire Rod?
Yeah, with the Fire Rod in hand, Turtle Rock becomes The obvious next destination, full clearable dungeon, item from Mimic Cave. That's where Furaime is going to be headed, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I think that pretty much clears up a lot of questions on some of the logic here. That makes Turtle Rock fully completed, but now, just as I was saying, we still don't have it. Boom, there it is. And so now Turtle Rock can be completed. It would be very interesting to see if the bow is located somewhere in Turtle Rock. I'll say on Trinex, because, you know, it's just fun to see bow on Trinex. The question will be, will the boots be required for a big key on Ganon's Tower Torch? That is what remains to be seen at this point.
The Fire Rod also lets Furaime full clear Skull Woods. There's nothing that he can find in Skull Woods that's going to make Turtle Rock any easier, and it's going to be another climb up to Turtle Rock. I was thinking ahead a little bit. I was saying, he might think that I can go into Skull Woods. If I find the bow, then I can do Eastern and Pod and do Turtle Rock last and save myself a mountain climb. That's a lot of things lining up nicely, but it's a possibility that he might route that in.
And that is definitely a possibility. It could even be a case where the green pendant from Swamp Palace leads to the bow from Sahasrahla, for all we know. So that would be very sneaky to throw it in that way. So there's still a lot of places that bow could be today. And even though that Skullwoods is a green pendant, as you mentioned, it saves a mountain climb if it turns out to be there. It doesn't waste anywhere near as much time to check it first. So it might be a good play at this point, as Furaime picks up his crystal from Vitreous, and that is now his, looks like his 4th crystal of the seed today. That does go for Pyramid Fairy as well.
Yeah, both players saw a hint that the green pendant is just money, so hopefully Furaime remembered that. I think Fantallis was the one who showed us what the pedestal was, so Fantallis has a little bit more knowledge on the pendant chain. But has his Fire Rod in hand, he'll be able to full clear Misery Mire. It looks like Furaime is probably making that Turtle Rock play.
And that's true. I did forget that hint earlier, that yes, that there is money on Sahasrahla, so that's a very good point, the Village Elder hint. So we won't be checking the green pendant, but it is still possible the bow could be in there in Misery Mire. Or not in Misery Mire, in Skull Woods. But Furaime is making the play on Turtle Rock because he knows he can complete Turtle Rock, and why not get it out of the way?
Yeah, the extra climb up the mountain really isn't that time consuming. We have the benefit of having seen Fantallis check all of the front half of Skullwoods, so everything except for Mothula item and then the extra chest. So we know that it's not a high percentage play to have the bow. Furaime's play is definitely a better play based on the knowledge that we have. Plus, keeping track of all the hints and remembering green pendant is garbage, things like that. You can't always assume that the players remember the hints, are thinking of them in the moment, knew what they meant in the first place. It's a lot easier to sit back and observe both players.
So Fantallis continues to work on Misery Mire. Furaime opens up Turtle Rock, uses the magic to cause the turtle's head to vanish and the stairway to appear. And this will be our first look inside Turtle Rock today as the King of Samaria out and ready to cross the path. Hint in the front, a map needs fire in Tower of Hera. Thanks, game.
Wow, that actually is a useful hint. Just once again, improperly timed. Well,
they didn't actually do the copy.
Yeah, that's a useful, well-timed hint because they have the fire source now and no need to go back there.
But I think they might have also been doing the item counting, and whereas I said earlier there were 2 items, obviously there's 3. They must have counted the 3 items in there already. And if that was the case, they already knew that the map was down there, or at least something equally useless. So that may be not a very useful hint for them, but for any of us who have not been counting the items, that could be good information to know that we're not going to see that coffee break from Tower of Hera today.
Fantallis has been he's been very willing to use keys on doors, where Furaime has been much more conservative with both his rupees.
There's your bow.
There's the bow. So Furaime is at the point now where he's not, going out of his way to pick up rupees anymore. It's 700 rupees. He's already done Zora. He's already paid Kiki. They did chess game, dating game, all that kind of stuff. So it's more than enough for the few hours that they need to actually complete the game.
So I'm going to make this announcement very cautiously because we still don't know where the boots are. So at 1 hour, 29 minutes, and 20 seconds, Furaime is now in go mode?
Well, yeah, he skips the chest there in
yeah, he's actually acting like he's in complete go mode. Oh, if that's the boots. And if they're needed.
That's not a difficult chest to get. I wouldn't necessarily have skipped that one. You don't typically see that one get skipped. But he's playing like he doesn't need it. So he's gambling that he's not going to have the GT big key on the torch. But I agree with you, Cyclone. You declare go mode and then you take it back if you find the keys on the torch.
Yeah, hence the question mark in my voice as I say that. He's playing like he is in go mode from the looks of it. So he is going to be skipping pretty much anything he doesn't feel he needs at this point, which is pretty much everything he can. And that means he's going to play the dungeons for clearing and not pick up any remaining items that he doesn't feel he needs to get. That's going to be very, like right there, for example, skipping that chest. So if the boots are required for the Ganos Tower Big Key on Torch, he's going to have to make a very unfortunate trip back into Turtle Rock to pick them up later. But again, the boots could still be on some other overworld locations as well. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens in Ganos Tower. I actually kind of want to see the Big Key on the Torch now.
Yeah, chat's talking about, it's faster for him to, to buy keys than to check the chests for the keys. The keys aren't really the risk because you're right. You can always go and check. You can always just buy the keys. He's got more than enough money. We have 20 rupees or stun prize. It's the boots being in one of those chests. That's the potential risk. But he's skipping all the chests in this dungeon. So if he does have to come back in here, it at least won't be for a single item. He'll be checking everything.
My guess is he may check the remaining chests in Eastern Palace and Palace of Darkness just to be sure, and there's not many left in either location. I don't know if we actually saw the vanilla big key chest if they did the dark room earlier or not. And we obviously just have the boss on top of that, but they did check everything else in Eastern Palace. Palace of Darkness, I think there's only like 1 or 2 items left there as well, so if the boots are required, it's going to be a dip back in Turtle Rock, or, for all we know, Pyramid Fairy, because that hasn't been checked either.
Yeah, we know that the pod big chest is just a 5 rupee, right. All the other chests in pod have been checked. So, it's with East, they still have the two crystals they need to get, Eastern and pod. So it'll be a little while before we get to see actually what's in GT.
I'm reading in chat that Furaime did get the dark room taken care of in Eastern Palace as well, so it is a full clear of both, except he didn't do that 5 in the big chest like you mentioned. So he will just be quickly go moding those because they're pretty much all done already, as we noted. But yeah, if the risk is Turtle Rock or a Pyramid Fairy having the boots, and he's not going to verify that, I don't mind the gamble, but at the same time, it's a long trip back to Turtle Rock, even though it's nearby in terms of other dungeons. It's still a long trip back to Turtle Rock just to go find the boots.
Well, where is Furaime going? Oh, he's going to buy some more keys. That makes sense.
Yeah, he needs keys.
So we were talking about, you mentioned that he didn't do the bomb jump on the hammer jump, and I think that's, in hindsight, that's probably also due to the fact that it's the different sprite. That makes a lot more sense now in hindsight.
I thought Furaime did do it. Maybe I'm forgetting that. Now I know Fantallis did not do it.
Then I had it. Maybe I had it backwards.
Furaime did do it. Furaime did do it. I remember him getting the 5 rupees before he got the hook shot.
Oh, I had it backwards then. I'm just gonna stop drawing conclusions then.
So Furaime off to get his Palace of Darkness Eastern Palace sandwich taken care of. that will give him the last 2 crystals. And then we have a game which we will talk about later that is a very popular game in chat. Chat knows what that game is. We'll talk about later when that game is started. Fantallis heads to Dark Death Mountain. He's off to Turtle Rock. I wonder if he will give us a look at the other chests that are in there and confirm for us where the boots are located just in case they are needed today. Of course, we still don't know if they are or not, and we can't declare go mode until we know whether they are.
Yeah, and one thing I want to just point out, this is not, it's not a routing decision or anything, but being all dungeons, they are going to have to go do AGA 1 prior to Ganon, so they can do that at the very last minute. That'd be the last thing they do. There's no items that they need to do it, and then there's nothing in there that will help them. But it's just one extra check that we have to take care of.
Something interesting is that there are 2 extra keys needed as well. Those keys, since they're in the regular item pool, those could be items in those chests.
Oh, that's a good point. I hadn't considered that.
Now, other than the boots, we know there's nothing specific that either runner is going to need. The powder, we obviously look at the powder not being there and you think, well, they haven't checked Magic Bat yet. They did both do the mushroom glitch where they got the check on Magic Bat, so we know Magic Bat doesn't have anything. We know the powder isn't going to need anything important today. So that's not relevant. The boots are the only item we are worried about at this time, because if the Ganon's Tower Big Key is on the torch, that's when the search for the boots begins, and neither runner has those yet. We have no idea where those are located. No hints have given any information on that as far as we're aware. So that's the thing that we're waiting to see today. It'll be a very interesting finish to see if that big key is there. And the question in chat, what's with the key buying? Because the keys are in the regular item pool and there are only 13 keys in hard mode from what I'm reading in the information, that means that there are often not going to be enough keys to get everything needed in the game. So runners will need to spend some of the rupees to buy keys. Now, something I've noticed is that Fantallis has a lower rupee count now than Furaime did. The interesting note here is that Fantallis has not been picking up some of the rupee items that he could have had, that he had an opportunity to get. For example, 50 rupees sitting in race game he didn't pick up. So he would need to be relying on the stun prize to get any remaining rupees he needs to buy any extra keys he might need. And there are still a few locked doors that have to be opened. So he may have, besides what's in Turtle Rock. So he's going to have to buy a few more keys at some point. He only has 200 rupees left. Furaime gets a big 20 from the Helmsar King, and that is crystal number 6 for him. So Furaime warps to the light world, and he is going to go into Eastern Palace and finish that off. Fantallis picks up his bow. I think I saw him taking a look at the side there for just a moment, saying, really? This is where it is? So Furaime drops down to the bullet room, I guess we can call that. And Fantallis continues along in Turtle Rock, making his way to the back, where he will, now that he has the Fire Rod as well, he will be able to take on the Trinex in the back once he finishes this. Let's see if Fantallis treats this as a go mode and skips the Chain Chomp room. He may still open that. Nope, looks like he is going to do the work in Chain Chomp room. He does reveal a heart piece in there, so we know that that is not going to be relevant. Actually, he might still be looking for the lamp to tie the logic together. The lamp was, I think, in... I forget exactly where that was. I think that was Misery Mire chat. Please correct me if I'm wrong on that. In Ice Palace. I knew it was one of the two. Thank you. Okay. Looks like he might have picked it up and we just didn't have it marked on the tracker. Fantallis stole the key and did not check the island ledge chest. So he actually went in there, stole the key, save having to buy a key later. Now, again, we don't know where the Ganon's Tower big key is yet. We're going to talk about that in just a moment, though, as we are now on the Eastern Palace Armos Knight's boss. 18 arrows, a little bit of money to be spent here on killing this boss efficiently. And that will be enough for us to get the Cane of Burna. Brian, if you need your cane, please come to the Eastern Palace Pickup Office to retrieve it. We are now going to start the Ganon's Tower Big Key guessing game. YouTube viewers or those watching the VOD afterwards here on Twitch, this is a game we play in the live chat. And that live chat is going to be guessing now as to where 1 to 22 that big key is located.
Well, I'm not a fan of it being on the torch. I just think that would be too unfortunate. I don't want to see a 30-minute boots hunt, so I'm going to go with behind the ice Armos. Let's make them use those arrows.
Yeah, let's use a little bit of extra spending money. Why not? I agree. Meanwhile, I always say it's on 11. It's always 11 because, well, always. Now, an interesting note here is, an interesting thing regarding the game I should point out is that it's for subscribers or people who have donated 250 bits or more to the channel, as Fantallis is going down to the laser bridge area. Something I'm going to note here, too, is that he did check a couple extra chests, including the Chain Chomp room, but he is otherwise playing this as if he's in go mode as well. So where that big key is located, if it's not on the torch, we know they're in go mode. If it's on the torch, this is going to be a very interesting 15, 20 minutes ahead.
And I definitely think this makes a lot of sense from a going up to Ganon's Tower before finishing that last dungeon in Skullwoods. If he did Skullwoods first, it would save a little bit of time because, well, actually, I'm thinking about it again. If he had done Skullwoods first, then he could have mirrored to do Aga right from the bat. He's gonna have a little bit of extra walking now.
What would be evil is if that key is on the torch, and if the boots are on Mothra. That would be very, very interesting.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That you'd want to check the Ganon's Tower first, rather than potentially spend some time checking locations in Skullwoods. But there's arguments either way. But we'll get a chance to see what's in here pretty soon.
And as we see Furaime spread the crystals open and open up Ganon's Tower, we are going to be momentarily stopping the big key guessing game. If you're hearing this, it's probably already too late. So Furaime enters Ganon's Tower, and it is time to find out 1 to 22 where that big key is located today. Good luck, everyone who guessed in chat. Well, there's your answer.
Not 11.
It was not 11. At least I was close. I was 1 digit off. As it was in location number 1 today, we now know that the boots are not required, but we do have to go. Well, Furaime is going to grab an extra key. I guess he's done the math and figured out he needs to get another key somewhere. So he is going to grab extra pieces of door opening machinery. And with that note, let's go ahead and find who the winner of the game is today. And I want to send a quick shout out to MT Philion, who we also know just as Philion, one of the mods in this tournament. He actually is the winner today. Congratulations to you, Philion, and well done.
So Furaime did not pick up the key under the pot. But he is doing some rupee farming, and he needs arrows to kill these red mimics on his way up the tower. That's a little bit odd. You don't normally see that. I mean, he's been so aggressive with the rupee pickup throughout the game, and now he's at the point where he is able to completely skip a free key, but has to rupee farm for arrows.
That's very interesting, actually. Yeah, he's been aggressive with buying the keys in this seed, and I guess wasn't expecting to have such a quick trip in Ganon's Tower, but at the same time that saves a lot of keys that might have been spent on doors in the basement as well. So I guess it works out for him in the long run there.
Yeah, as you pointed out earlier, he does have to save 2 keys for Aghanim's Tower, Castle's Tower. but I think 4 is plenty because you'll just use the 2 in here, and then it still has the 2 for CT.
Furaime does take the time to make sure the switches are all outside of the location, and then fires an arrow into the switch to reactivate it to the proper location. Never seen that strategy used before. That's a very interesting strat to get through that room.
Yeah, it'd be, we saw him use multiple arrows on these switches, and I wonder what his thinking would be if the stun prize wasn't red rupee, because it's such a great stun prize, and it really made a difference for him being able to just farm the beginning of GT. He would have had to go out of the dungeon and dig up some rupees or go to another location. That would have been a really bad situation.
At this point, knowing that the silver arrows would require 200 arrows to fire into Ganon, I'm actually wondering where if he plans to abuse that stun prize in not only in Agnum's Tower but also in Skull Woods to get the remaining arrows there, to get the remaining funds there, to be able to use the silver arrows, or whether he actually plans to do the Ganon fight serverless. That would be very interesting to see today.
That's definitely an interesting consideration. I wouldn't be surprised if he just does silverless Ganon. I don't know if it saves enough time to to make up for farming. Would you say 200 arrows? And you'd probably want some safety arrows, as well. So that's a lot of rupee farming.
Yeah, 200 rupees to fire 4 silver arrows into the side of Ham that we refer to as Ganon. Fantallis working on the Mimic rooms right now in Palace of Darkness, and is going to shortly be... Well, actually, he's not quite to that side yet, so there's another Mimic room later on, but he is going through the Spike room right now. Furaime is moving through Ganon's Tower, his rogue room right now. So satisfying to pull that shot off like that. Fantallis is done here. It looks actually not done. He's used the hammer. I just found the big key and is making his way to Helmstar King now.
And that was a nice advantage for Furaime, having picked up the big key on his first trip in there, and also not having to use those arrows, having done the potion clutch on his initial trip. So those were 40 rupees saved.
So Fantallis is going to eye the statue. Actually, already done that.
Oh,
he did that earlier.
Not good. Not good.
What happened?
Fantallis doesn't have a key. Oh, he opened it. When did he open that?
Yeah, he did this area earlier because I was just going to say he's going to shoot the statue, and he already shot the statue. So didn't even know. Oh, Furaime got an extra key just in case. Very nice.
I completely missed that then. That worked out. So he must have gone down here earlier in an attempt to... Why would he have gone down here? Because he didn't have the big key.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I don't think there was much else he could do down here. Maybe he just wanted to get the key out of his inventory, and that might have had something to do with it. So I'm not sure why he would have gone down here earlier.
No, he couldn't have gotten the Helma without the big key that he just picked up. Well, we're all confused.
He's the heart in the Moldorm 2 chest, meanwhile. And Furaime is not far away from Aghanim 2 at this point.
Yeah, nice heart refill there.
Had a little trouble on the bumper there, and now is stunning, and yep, he is going to get a couple big 20s off of those the foes there. So yeah, he's definitely doing a little bit of rupee farming, but those ones add up on the spikes. He's not going to waste his time with them.
Yeah, I think those mini Helmos were just to kill them to get past them. That's a difficult room if you don't have the boots.
Yeah, it may have been for that as well, but it does help with the rupee farming for potential silver arrow use later.
Like a nice free heart refill on that last heart container. So it's nice to walk in here. I believe, well, so Fantallis picked up a blue potion. I think Furaime still has the green that he got earlier, and he got a green on the top of GT, so he's good on magic.
Yeah, there was that green potion in the same room as the extra key that he picked up. So he has 4 keys. I'm just doing the math. I know he hasn't done Skull Woods yet, but I think he only needs 1 or 2 keys for that. I know we only need 2 for Aghanim's Tower, plus any that are picked up from enemy or pot locations that might be in there. So I think he's good on keys at this point.
Yeah, he just needs the back of Skullwoods, and he can get any keys he needs from guaranteed enemy and pot drops. So he's definitely good on keys. Quick Agate Tower clear, and then Skullwoods clear, and then he's going to be able to immediately come back in here to do Ganon. I mean, he's going to lose his portal, unfortunately, so he's going to have to walk back up here, but that's about it.
I'm actually wondering why he didn't do Skullwoods first, because he could have saved and quit from there and restarted the pyramid, done the warp to the light world. So very interesting that he's doing it this way.
Actually, that makes a lot of sense why he's not doing it this way, because this opens up that save and quit, killing Ago 1.
Oh, that's a good point. Didn't even consider that.
Furaime, that's why he's in the tournament and we're not.
Yep, that's why he's one of the tops. I think he's one of the top seeds, and that's why we're just here talking about it.
So I know, Cyclone, you said that you were talking to these guys earlier. Which runner picked this particular game mode?
It was Furaime who picked this particular seed. I mentioned the strategy he was using, and I'll repeat this now for anyone who came in during the race. The reason he picked this strategy, as we get a hint that the mushrooms in the big chest of Swamp Palace. Thank you very much, game. The reason that he picked this boat was for the strategy involved. He knows how much money it can cost to go through certain dungeon locations. He had the math all figured out, and he knows that it's possible for runners to not even consider that as part of their strategy, especially with the hard mode where you have 15 fewer keys in the pool to work with. So you have to really conserve money to also buy those keys. You can't really use the arrows as freely. So he used the entire strategy behind the arrows and the key, the rupee management, as his reason for picking this seed type today.
And he's been very aggressive with rupee management, but even with everything he did, if the stun prize wasn't the big 20s, both of our players would have found themselves in a really tough situation.
I agree. That really helped him out in this case. It saved some... Like, there are places where you can farm. I know, for example, there's one Thieves Hideout where you can farm blue rupees, and I think Fantallis is doing that right now in that location near Ice Rod Cave. He's going to be doing this a slow way. He's not going to use the stun prize. Maybe he doesn't even know what the stun prize is 20 rupees, which would probably be a lot faster for him to do.
I know I saw him stun enemies at multiple locations. So
we never played our blue ball game, by the way. It's a little bit late. We've already seen one blue ball, but guess the blue balls, everyone in chat. We're up to 2 right now. I'm still going to say 3. What do you think, Tiru?
I don't know. Fantallis also never did the his Houlihan, so that's a big.
Oh, that's true. That's very true.
So I mean, Fantallis has been stunning enemies. He was the first person to actually see the stun prize, having picked up the hook shot before Furaime did, I believe. I saw it on his screen first anyway, but I guess he just forgot about it, or or didn't want to go to a dense enough item location. Went to that back of it. Oh, now he's doing Houlihan.
Noah Furaime stole on the Aghanim fight. I've already lost the game. We've seen 4 blue balls. And that's where it stops. So Furaime is now doing his Houlihan that you mentioned he had not done yet. He is now doing that. And that's going to give him a lot of late game money to use for any remaining needs he does have. He has at this point Aghanim's Tower and Swamp Palace himself to do, or Skullwoods, I mean, not Swamp Palace, which is what Furaime has already done. I think he still has to do Ganon's Tower as well.
Yeah, he did Armos Knights with just the sword, wisely saving his arrows. So other than I think you just need the 4 arrows, or the 8 arrows for the mimics. So just 80 rupees would be enough to actually get through GT.
Right.
So he had enough before he did that Houlihan, but this does give him enough for the silvers if he wants to do Silver Ganon. That might be. I can't imagine that he you know, did a Houlihan just for that. Oh, that's by keys. That makes more sense.
I'm chuckling at what Furaime was doing. He released a bee, so he started playing the flute to serenade it as it was following him. A very little humorous thing that he was doing there.
I didn't realize that he had run out of arrows on Armos because I had been AFK for a second. That's a tough calculation to make because, you know, Armos isn't that time consuming to kill with the sword. I wonder, I mean, that's a tough call to make if you're rupee farming versus just kill Armos with a sword. I think in most cases it's faster to kill it with the sword.
At the same time, yeah, I guess it would be very close to see which one would be better. I think the arrows obviously give a slightly quicker route because you have them right in front of you, direct line of sight. Whereas the sword, you're swinging at them going at various angles. It's not just a straight shot where you stand in one place and go. So I think I would still favor the arrows in the Armos Knight fight myself, even in retro mode. But it is a very more costly way to do the fight. Furaime, meanwhile, drops in on Mothula, and we now have a bug fight going on. That was a very clean bug fight. That was 5 shots, I think, and already done. As we get Mothula's lunch and the green pendant, which we're not going to check because we already are in go mode. We already have everything. We know there's money there anyway, so it's not going to help us in any way. We're going to go straight to the pyramid at this point. We're going to go straight to Ganon's fight, and Furaime is on his way to finishing this game as fantallis enters Ganon's tower.
Yeah, we'll probably see that saving quit that you had predicted.
Yep.
With the mirror and having killed Aga 1, there's a direct warp right to the pyramid. He loses a little bit of health, unfortunately, but it's worth it.
Yeah, it's worth the time save. Philosophical Ganon talking about deja vu as we now start phase 1. Fantallis has found his biggie. He went right side, so he also found it at number 1 today. His key count, he has 3 left. He does not have, well, I don't think he has enough to finish at this point, so he's going to have to at least get a couple more keys somewhere, including that one on the 6th floor if he checks that chest.
And he also needs to farm for 80 rupees to get past the mimics. So he knows the stun prizes because he's stunning those enemies.
Yep.
Furaime down to 1 heart, though.
And yes, we did find those silver arrows. Here, try one. And as you can see, it is counting off 50 rupees for each shot of that silver arrow. So you have to be very timely with your shots. It may not be worth taking the risk to go for a risky double, which he just did. He's going to have to do the spin strats to finish the fight.
Just 3 spins. He did save 9 spins by using the 3 hours, though.
Yep, he got done. Still didn't take too long.
Very
so,
nice.
Furaime is our first runner to finish today. Everyone get your GGs in chat as Furaime just has 1 challenge remaining. And that is to cross a 2-pixel bridge into a doorway where 3 triangles await him. He succeeds in doing so, and he is the first runner to finish today with an official SRL time of exactly what you see, 1 hour, 57 minutes, and 53 seconds. So GG, and we'll see if we can get him in here to chat about the sea and how the strategy worked out for him today on that. Fantallis, meanwhile, is continuing in Ganon's tower. He is now on that mimic room that he had to save the money for, or farm the money for. Ignores the bomb because he doesn't need it at this point, and is now going to use his big key to start his gauntlet climb.
Yeah, that was a very nice Ganon fight, being able to take advantage of the extra money to use those silvers. They ended up saving a little bit of time in the end, after all.
And still seeing if we can get Furaime. Actually, Furaime is in chat right now, so I take this to mean he might not be joining us. We'll just verify in chat here. He can hear us obviously now, so we'll find out for sure if he does plan to join us in the voice call. If not, he is in chat and he will be able to answer your questions. He's doing that right now. Some of the things he's talked about, he still wants to see a retro seed without a good way to get rupees. That would be fun. Forgot about pedestal, which we noted. He checked the last hint in Dark World Ice Rod Cave. Wasn't the boots hit, so he thinks he missed a tile somewhere. I'm going to assume he's saying it's too late to say it's too late to join a voice call at this time.
I'm going to interpret that the same way as well. So we'll say GG's to Furaime and, ask any questions in chat there. My only question for Furaime would be if he was having any issues with the sprite in particular for doing bomb jumps, and if he had any alternative rupee farming plans if the stone price hadn't been so optimal, being big 20s.
I know you were wondering about his Ice Palace routing earlier too. That might be something else he can talk about a little bit.
Yeah, fantallis. This is a brutal room to do without the boots. I just so much more fun to run down that hallway.
I just realized we still don't know where those boots were located. So we knew about the bomb holding kids, so that we were aware of today. Fantallis picks up his magic refill and climbs up to floor 6. And he is one Moldorm 2 fight, a few extra rooms, and Aghanim 2 away from getting through this area.
See, Cyclone is actually doing a service for future VOD viewers who don't have access to the Twitch chat. That's why we're reading Furaime's answers. It's not because we think the Twitch chat can't read.
Yeah, the chat will... something I should point out, the reason why we are talking about this is because, as was mentioned, the VOD viewers will not see this on YouTube, and even on Twitch, the chat actually goes away after 2 months. So everything you're saying in chat now will be disassociated from the video and completely lost. So stating some of this information now, since Furaime is not here to say it himself in the voice call with us, it gives anyone watching this an opportunity to see what he was thinking in some of these situations that he was playing today. So that's... As Tiru did naturally point out, that is a service I am providing for anyone seeing the video after the fact.
Yeah, he's confirming that the that the retro sprite was the source of some of those issues setting up those pixel perfect bomb jumps. Definitely very understandable that if you're not familiar with a particular sprite, especially a quirky one like the retro sprite, then it's gonna cause your execution to be thrown off when so much comes from muscle memory. But fantallis heading into his Aga 2 fight after unfortunately taking a fall on Moldorm 2. Still has to do Castle Tower and still has to go do Skull Woods.
That first phase is a tough one to set up. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. That first phase was a tough one to set up. Didn't get a hit on the first phase. I don't know if that was a single or a double he just got. That was a double. Looks like he has one more hit on Aghanim 2, and he will be able to most likely do what Furaime did and do the Aghanim's Tower, or I should say the Aghanim's Tower play. So I suspect that would be the next place he would go. Let's see what he decides to do. As the bat emerges, he stares at out the window, or at the wall anyway, and let's see what he does.
Yeah, I don't know what happens if you attempt to fall down here. I mean, I know you can't. You can't damage again. We're gonna find out.
He might have forgotten.
Answer to our question. What happens?
You think you are ready to face me? I will not die unless you complete your goals. He just takes the death.
That does. Was he just low on health, or does Ganon instant kill you in that mode?
I'm assuming it was just a case of being low on health, and he stops, he activates the mirror, he does some sword spins over the pit, pulls the ramp a little bit, and clearly must not be very happy right now, knowing he still has a couple things to do. He's just aimlessly walking back and forth, pulling a ramp and pulling the statue, and now he is just wandering aimlessly around the pyramid, looking off into the distance at what is behind. Does the map check, finds Skull Woods on there, and warps over to the castle tower area. And he's just continuing to pull the walls. So I'm going to assume, let me just check here.
That's a great play-by-play cycle.
Thank you, I tried. Okay, looking at the time here, let me just see. Yeah, I think at this point it is safe to say that he does register a forfeit. It was about 20 minutes ago now. So he did register a forfeit. He is just staying there now, so that's probably where he did it.
I think it's safe to call it at this point.
He is finished. But we tried to give a good play-by-play of him pulling the ramp. We hope you enjoyed the play-by-play on that. As Furaime's stats are about just coming into view, he won 63 out of 216. Very good item collection rate for a retro seed, I think. And let's see if Fantallis wants to join us. I'm going to guess maybe not, because he already left the SRL chat, but we'll see if he shows up. Okay, he actually did send me a message before we even contact him, and he said, I think as opposed to an interview, I'm just going to kind of conk out and take a walk. So he will not be joining us either, unfortunately. So we're not going to get to hear from his thoughts on that today. After missing on the left side swamp, I'm not surprised he wants to just forget about this seed and do something he likes, go for a walk and stretch his legs a little bit. So I don't blame him at all for doing that. Definitely when you skip left side swamp and there's something important in there, that is a really, really nasty thing to find.
Absolutely, and that's completely understandable. It was a very fun race to watch, but this gives Furaime a 5-1 record heading out of this race, and that's the first loss in Fantallis' category, brings him up to 2-1.
Very nice, and 5-1 is still a really good record. So even though he may have lost this race today and had the little bit of unfortunate situation in Swamp Palace, he's still obviously putting on a really good record in this tournament. And even though he still has 9 matches left to play in the pools, anything can happen, but he's still in a really good position to turn out a really solid record and make his way into the bracket. So we do wish him luck the rest of the way with that. Also the same to Furaime. Good luck with the rest of your races as well. We look forward to seeing them on here as well when we can. I want to cover some races that are going on this evening, just either already underway or coming up. There's a race that started at 7:30 on Speed Gaming main channel between Andy and Wayne. 2 very top-notch players at this game. If you don't already have that up in another window, I would suggest get over there and watch the rest of that race, because that's going to be 2 top-notch players going at it, and that could go either way. So that's on the main channel right now. Let me see what else we have here. On Speed Gaming 4, we have Sabotender versus Megawatt. That just started about 11 minutes ago. So that's on Speed Gaming 4. They're doing again an inverted mode seed. And there's no extra specifications on that. No key sanity, no retro or anything like that. Just inverted mode where you start in the dark world. If you've never seen that, that is very interesting. Also worth a watch. And taking a further look down the schedule here, I do see a couple more races. Actually, one more race this evening on Speed Gaming 3. That will be the last race on Speed Gaming for tonight and on the schedule for tonight for a Link to the Past randomizer between Glenn and ZZZ Cube. That is an All Dungeons swordless seed in open mode, and they are doing Key Sandy on that one. So if you've never seen Key Sandy before, here's your chance to see Key Sandy this evening. Very interesting mode. Probably one of my favorite extra flakes to add to the mode, because it adds a really good puzzle logic to it. Let me just check the Speed Gaming schedule very quickly as well here. Other items on tonight, we do have the Super Mario Bros. 3 randomizer weekly race. That's another randomizer shuffles all the worlds around. That's at 9 o'clock tonight on Speed Gaming 2. And looking ahead to tomorrow, I do see more races in the Link to the Past randomizer tournament starting at 10:30 tomorrow morning. And there's a Dark Souls race at 2 p.m. And that's just the start of the schedule for tomorrow. So if you want to see more information on the speed gaming schedule, see speedgaming.org/schedule for the link to the past schedule. See speedgaming.org/ALTTPR, and you can get more information on those also by typing schedule in chat. So with that said, I think this might be a good point to wrap things up. Do you have any other thoughts today, Tiru?
No, I have nothing else to add. It's a very very concise wrap up. So I will just do my closing by thanking both Furaime and fantallis for doing an excellent race. It's my first chance to see retro mode, and this was a very nice seed to see it played in. So it was a real treat for me. So thank you for that. There are links posted in chat to give a follow to both Furaime and fantallis. Got to thank our excellent tracker Reg for doing a wonderful job keeping us honest. And I normally thank the speed gaming staff before thanking my code comments, but I think it's the same person in this case. So thank you, thank you, Cyclone, for everything you do and for the opportunity to join you on comments today.
Well, I'll take the opportunity to thank the Speed Gaming staff, because if it weren't for Fiesel and the rest of the crew behind Speed Gaming, who do have all the I guess you could say the authority in this case, that we wouldn't have this entertainment to even do my part in setting this up. So it's actually great to have Fiesel and everyone in Speed Gaming to do this for us, and it's just endless entertainment. You can come to Speed Gaming anytime and find races on somewhere on one of the 6 channels that we have, or on some of the foreign channels as well. So definitely follow all the Speed Gaming channels, both Speed Gaming and Speed Gaming 2 to 6. Also follow ALTTP Randomizer and the same but 2 to 5. And those 11 channels will give you all the races you see me in this tournament, and the 6 Speed Gaming channels, other events that you can check out anytime as well. So with that said, let's go ahead and call it here. Again, thank you to for co-commentating this with me today. Very good race today. Thank you, Furaime and fantallis, for the excellent race. And everyone in chat, stay tuned for more races. If you're on the YouTube playlist, stay tuned for another race right after this. If you're in the Twitch chat, feel free to find another race to watch. Have a great night, everyone, and thank you for watching.